Okay, we are live. I'm just testing out the audio here. Can you guys hear me? And Philip, can you say hi real quick?
Hi, everyone.
Let us know how our audio sounds. Okay.
Sure thing. Yeah, like a little jingle.
Okie dokie artichoke. Here we go, Key. Here we go, Key. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Club Crochet Live, and we have a very special episode today. So, first off, what are we doing? We are crocheting a giant bell bag today, and today we're going to be making it even bigger than this. This one is made with cotton yarn, but we're going to be making ours with some bulky yarn like this. So it should end up a lot bigger. I've made some with a bulkier yarn in the past, so it ended up about that big, which is pretty big, but I think it's going to even be bigger than this. I don't know. We're going to see. But for this pattern, here are the materials that you're going to need. I'll go over that so that you guys have time to grab it while I'm talking about other stuff. So you're going to need 3 different colors in whatever kind of yarn you want. Again, I'm using bulky today, but in this instance, I'm using worsted weight yarn. You'll need gold, brown, and red. You'll need a crochet hook that works with that yarn. Because I'm using bulky yarn, I'm going to be using a J crochet hook. I'm hoping that it's big enough. It might be too small of a hook and I might have to upsize mid crochet, but we'll see. And let's see, is there anything else? You'll need some stuffing probably too. Oh, and of course you'll need the pattern. And this is a brand new pattern today. So if you want to get the crochet pattern, it is available at clubcrochet.com/bellbag. You can see a link right here on the screen. I just came out with it today, and this pattern is not originally designed by me. It's designed by someone else who we'll be introducing in just a second. But before we get to that, while you guys are grabbing your materials, let me talk about how you can support this channel if you're interested. So the main way to support the channel is with a membership. Membership accounts get early access to future patterns, so members got early access to this pattern. They get exclusive patterns like this here Gulliver, which is also our special guest's design, and a bunch of other exclusive patterns as well. Members also get kits mailed directly to their door each month with all the materials that they need. This month, we're doing a kit for beach items. So we're making... Sorry, I dropped it. And I don't know where the other part of it is. Is it in here? Ah, here it is. we're going to be making a sand castle and a beach ball. And if you get this month's kit, you also get a special beach item that I collected myself on the beach and we cleaned up, like a sand dollar here. So each kit's going to come with their own little beach item. So sand dollars, sea glass, mostly sand dollars, I think, is the big one. I collected a lot of sand dollars. So if you're interested in that, check out a membership. These are for pro memberships, get kits. Memberships start at only $5 a month, and you even get a free trial, and it helps support this channel. Other ways to support this channel is by purchasing merch. So we have stickers available. I have one more sticker that is on its way right now. So I'll probably be able to share it next week. But we have like professional hooker stickers, stitch stickers, anyone can be a hooker sticker, stuff like that. And we have t-shirts. This is a new t-shirt that I'm wearing right now that will be in the shop, I don't know, soonish. Here, you can kind of see it. I'm calling it the Pocket Monster shirt. So it's got a little tiny orc hanging out of a pocket with a crochet hook. I'm really proud of the design. I think it's really cool. So that is new t-shirts that are coming out soon, but there are some t-shirts already available. And then the last way is to do a super chat, but we'll talk about that in the halftime show. Okay, but if you're interested, you can super chat, and it does help the channel. All right, well, without further ado, let's talk about our special guest, and introducing Sir Purl Grey. There we go. Hello, Philip. You are on screen. So this is Sir Purl Grey. He is the artist that designed this bell bag and this cool amigurumi Gulliver. Ooh, I'm having a hard time talking right now. But and also this cute little Angie the anglerfish that we did, like, what was that? That was like last year, maybe even.
Yeah, right before last summer.
Yeah. Yeah, so he is an amazing amigurumi artist, and we're just going to be crocheting today. I'm going to start getting hooking, and yeah, and also hello to the chat. Hello. I think that Philip can see the chat as well.
Yes, I can.
All right. Let me just get myself a little bit more organized here. I'm starting with the star. What are you starting with? Are you starting with the bag or the star?
I can start with the star.
I was thinking about trying to do mini ones with this bulky yarn to see how big it got, but I don't know. I started using your method for a magic loop, and I like it a lot more. It basically, if you're watching right now and you want to learn a new magic loop, you pinch it like this. Well, I don't know if this is how you do it, but this is the tutorials that I've been looking, is you pinch it like that, and then you wrap around your finger and then around the yarn, and then you pinch it with your pinky, and then you hold from the opposite side, put your crochet hook under, loop over the other loop, and then go, oops, messed it up, go around and then chain or something. I screwed it up. I've just started it, but is that how you do it too? Or do you do it over just one finger?
Yeah, just to keep it not as wide a magic ring when you start off.
You do it just around the one. Wow, that looks so like that.
How would you do yours first? Oh yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. So.
Oh, I see.
I'm just gonna use my one finger, and then we just go behind the first loop, and then grab the second loop, pull it up, and then all you do from there is just yarn over, pull through, and then you've got a little slip knot that holds that ring together.
That is nice. That is so much easier than the way that I was using it. So I'm gonna try doing a tutorial series on all the different ways to do magic loops soon, for people to see. And then the beginning of this, go. I like that you also introduced me to putting, well, I guess you didn't introduce me to this, but you did spark this idea of doing more than 6 single crochets in the magic loop. Usually I only did 6 single crochets in a magic loop, like ever. And after working on, I think it was the anglerfish pattern, I realized that, man, you could do a lot more than 6 in the magic loop, and that really opens you up to a lot of different design options.
Yeah. I think whenever anyone does more than 6, they usually just do the chain 2 and then single crochet however many they need into that second loop. But the magic loop is great because like it's nice and adjustable. It gives you a nice clean center.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I used to be like adamant about the chain 2 method, and then I don't know. When I crochet, I get into this repetitive thing where I just keep crocheting the same way so often, and then I just don't branch out into other design methods very often, which is why I'm so fortunate that we get to do these designs together, because it really opens my eyes up to a bunch of different methods for crocheting.
Yeah.
I think it's neat. So how did you start crocheting?
So when I was in high school, I started knitting and then just getting into yarn crafts that way. But then it wasn't until I finished university and then I started teaching. So I teach high school. So it's quite a stressful job.
You're a high school teacher?
I'm a high school teacher.
I am shocked. I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, I started teaching. It's almost been a decade. So almost
what?
10, yeah.
I want to ask how old you are, and if you don't want to say it, don't answer it.
Oh, don't worry. I am 33.
I thought for sure you were younger than me. You have a very youthful face, and that is a compliment.
I mean, like I basically chased that fountain of youth. Like,
yeah, you found it. Man, wow, how cool is that? So what do you teach in high school?
So I teach math. So high school math, but then just in the recent 2 years, I've also started teaching dance. So it's a nice hybrid.
How cool is that? What kind of dance?
Oh, just everything. Like I'm primarily based in hip hop, but as a dance teacher, you have to be you have to be a jack of all trades. So I'm starting to get into some ballroom, some contemporary.
Very cool. I used to swing dance a lot. I still swing dance every now and then, but obviously in today's climate, it's a little bit more difficult to swing dance right now. But yeah, I used to swing dance all the time, and my girlfriend and I just started doing salsa before quarantine, and then everything dropped off. Have you ever done that, salsa or swing?
Not salsa, but I have tried swing dancing.
Man, that is so cool. I had no idea that you were a teacher. That is very, very cool. My mom's a teacher as well for high school.
Oh.
So you started crocheting in high school?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I started knitting in high school.
Oh, right.
But then when I graduated university and started working, that's when I started crocheting, because being a teacher is really stressful. So I picked up crochet just because I wanted something therapeutic. And then I kind of dropped knitting, and I haven't really gone back to it ever since.
What kind of items were you knitting originally?
Just scarves and hats, but it gets to a point where your closet's just full of hats that you don't wear.
Yeah. I also found that, because that's what I started with crocheting. I started making hats and scarves and stuff, and then I found as a male crocheter, it's just unrealistic to wear all these. You just don't get to make as many cool things. There's so many more patterns and designs that are primarily designed for women, and that's when I got really into amigurumi, after I realized this was a much just something I was way more interested in. Is that a similar kind of way that you got into amigurumi?
Yeah. So like you and me both, like we know I play a ton of video games.
Yeah.
Pokemon has always just been huge in my life. So I started because I wanted to make Pokemon like stuffed animals.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, like that's how I got into this, like just this whole world of just crocheting stuffed animals.
What a universe amigurumi is too. It's like its own little bubble in the crafting world that you don't really realize exists until you start it. I mean, I guess that's just the kind of the case with all kinds of craft mediums, or just like arts in general. Like if you really get into dance, you'll start to recognize that there's this whole community that you just didn't see before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I personally am very much addicted to crochet. It's pretty much all I do. But it seems like would you consider crocheting still a hobby of yours?
Um, I'm like in the same boat as you. Like I feel super awkward if my hands aren't crocheting.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
sitting around doing it. Um, so yeah, it's become like a huge part of my life. It's become like, a little bit more like more of a beginning small business kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I crochet a lot for like comic conventions and things like that. So lots of art markets. Um, so like it's my little like baby step into uh, the commercial part of crocheting.
Yeah, totally. Do your students know that you're a little bit Instagram famous for crocheting?
Um, yeah, I'm like really shy about it, but it is a cool way to connect to a lot of students.
Yeah, I would assume.
Because like I being a little closer in age and having some of the same interests as a lot of my students, it's nice for them to have an adult in their life that they can talk to things about. And because like I crochet a lot of Pokemon and a lot of them play Pokemon,
Yeah.
or just video games in general too. um like it's a good like jumping off point.
Yeah, it's a good way to like get their respect, like right
Yeah.
off the bat, which I'm sure is a difficult thing to get for high school students.
I'm like 9 years into teaching and I'm still struggling with like just authority every day. Just
Yeah. My mom just retired like last week. She's been teaching for 35 years and she just retired, and I'm very proud of her for retiring. But it's just this whole the whole at-home teaching thing was really difficult for her, and she was like, I don't need to deal with this anymore. Is that the case for you as well? Have you found that like that at-home teaching is really difficult right now?
yeah. Trying to get students to be engaged when you don't see them every day
Yeah.
is super difficult. I think by June, I maybe had 25% of my kids even like doing any assignments.
Oh man, that's rough. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
so
like, how do you even? Yeah.
yeah, can't police it. Like you can only call home so many times before they
Right.
like recognize the number and like stop answering the phone when you call.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that seems tough, man. I mean, I gotta say, like, all the power to you. Like, that is a very admirable line of work. So I really, I think the world should or does appreciate you as much as you deserve, because that is a crazy difficult job, especially right now. I just realized I forgot. Oh, never mind. I found them. Scissors and a needle. How often do you find yourself like throwing your scissors or your needle to the side for after doing one stitch, or like after using them for a second, and then you're like, where the hell did I put those things? Like right afterwards.
I'll often be like crocheting on the couch, so I'll just put my scissors down just to look away for half a second, and then I'm spending the next 15 minutes looking for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, I got the star done. Looks like you're just about to do the same. Looks like you're making it with much smaller yarn, acrylic yarn maybe?
Yes. So just medium worsted weight. I'm still getting accustomed to this hook.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break it in right now.
Yeah, so you're saying you have this brand spanking new crochet hook.
Yeah. So this is a brand. It's called Collage square hooks. And it's made of wood. The handle's made of wood. It's got a metal tip. And it's really ergonomic. But when I was looking for this hook, the company stopped producing them. So I had to track down a few online resources, and there was only one retailer that only had like 2 hooks left. So I bought them both.
Yeah.
So I think I have the last 2 in existence.
Wow, how cool is that? It looks really cool. It looks like very artisan.
Thanks. And like we've had this conversation before, but you prefer metal hooks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I prefer metal hooks because of how I started crocheting. I started with plastic hooks and I broke like 12 plastic hooks before I decided to get a metal one. And ever since I haven't moved on. I mean, I tried using wooden hooks for a while, made out of bamboo, but I found that the wood would stick to my crocheting so much that it would just make things a little bit more difficult for me. Yeah, I don't know. Do you find something similar? Or do you like using metal hooks or wooden or what?
I prefer wooden. Um, I For me, when I use metal hooks, sometimes your hands get a little sweaty, and then just like that little bit of sweat residue when it's metal, and then it starts squeaking with the
The
yarn.
squeaking, yeah, the squeaking does get really annoying.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I don't find that my stuff squeaking that much. Well, it depends. I think it squeaks when I'm crocheting very tightly. I
Right.
find that it really starts to squeak a lot, and that, yeah, I agree. It does get really annoying when it squeaks a bunch. Oh man, the chat is popping off.
Yeah, I'm like it.
It's
I'm
hard to read it and talk with you. And there's just so many things going on. But hello, chat. If you guys have any questions for us at all, just let us know. Is anybody else crocheting today? And if so, what are you guys making? 2, 4. Yeah, man. Look how big. Well, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, this bulky yarn it's gonna be huge.
And we're actually using the same size of hook right now.
Really? You're using a J crochet hook for worsted weight yarn?
Yeah, I'm just like I want to see if I can make this bell bag just a slightly bigger by using just a slightly bigger hook.
Yeah, a little experimenting. That's cool. All right, so we got 8. Man, I love this new magic loop method. I feel like such a goof for not using it. But yeah. Ooh, Sophia is crocheting a camel. And Hanjay is pattern testing.
Oh,
Piano Forte is doing something dumb. Linessi Eris asks us, do we have any tips for designing our own patterns? Which actually brings me to a question that I have for you, which is, where do you get your ideas? Do you think of it beforehand, or do you improvise? And like, do you draw them out before you do it, or what's your system like?
Inspiration-wise, I just kind of do things on a whim. So whatever, like say, video game or TV show I'm watching at that moment, I'll latch onto a character, and then I'll start designing it. And I just start crocheting.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do draw out their designs first just to plan out all the shapes, but I just kind of go head first right into it.
Yeah, I do something similar. I used to draw them before I made them, but now it's more of like when the inspiration hits, and you know that hot inspiration where you're like, oh my gosh, I need to make this right now. I don't even have the time to put to start drawing it first. I just don't have that effort. I have to just go straight into making it. And also, I find that when I draw stuff out first, it ends up being it ends up controlling what my piece looks like a lot more, and I don't really like that. I like the freeformness of my first design, of me being like, okay, I could put a stitch here, I could put a stitch there, I could figure this out in a bunch of different ways, and not thinking about how it's going to be written as a pattern first. And
Right.
then after the first, how many times do you make something before you write down the pattern?
Usually the one time is enough.
Yeah.
But it's I met an artist once who does like digital drawings, and she said something really cool to me. She said she sketches and draws with a pen, but like you and me, we're basically kind of doing the same thing. Like we're sketching, but then we're just doing it with a different medium.
Yes.
We'll,
Yeah.
which is just like her erasing like something that she doesn't like. And you know, like if we we stitch around that we don't like, then we just we erase it.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. I think that I'm just waiting for the moment where crochet hits the big time, where people realize that, specifically with amigurumi, I think that people just don't realize how cool of an art form it is, because it is not only is it like 3D printing with I say like thready printing, but it's also like you can do it anywhere. You can always take back your stitches. You can reuse the exact same materials to make something completely different, and over and over again. Like if I was stranded on an island with one ball of yarn and a crochet hook, that would last me a while. Like I think I could go for a long time with just even one ball of yarn. Go ahead.
So where do your inspirations come from?
My inspirations come from, I mean, they come out in the middle of the night usually, and it definitely depends on the game. So, or I mean, on the medium or the things that I'm interested in at the moment. So, obviously, there's like, if I'm watching a TV show that I'm really interested in, I can't help from making something from that TV show or that video game, but I always feel like I'm not working quick enough. You know, it's like I always feel like if I sit on ideas for a little too long. So I think I need to start going a little quicker. I'm verging off of your question now a little bit, but I guess the answer to your question of where do I get my inspiration for pieces is whatever I'm interested in the moment. I really like pieces to have an interactive quality to them, which is why I really like this, like stitched or this bell bag things that you can do something with outside of just like making it and having it. And I think that we're just starting to dip our toes into that world right now. I think we're just like realizing how versatile this medium is. It's just crazy to think about how new amigurumi is to like the world.
Crocheting, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what is it gonna look like in 30, 40 years, you know? Who knows?
Have you ever looked into, actually, I've got a few questions for you too, because knowing that you have an anthropology background.
That's true.
Have you ever like done any research into like this type of thread art?
You know, I've done a little bit. I remember looking into like the history in Ireland and using knitting and crochet as a way to make nets and stuff. But I haven't looked into it nearly as much as I should, seeing as like me being in the situation that I'm in with loving this art and loving anthropology. I really should put more effort into that, because I bet you there's some really interesting facts out there.
Well, like go back just a few hundred years when they're making intricate lace dresses.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you know what? I've been seeing more people on like Reddit making wedding dresses out of crochet with like essentially making like giant doilies. I have no idea. Like that seems insane to me.
Like I've made doilies, but like I have to follow a pattern.
Yeah. Like-
Maybe I haven't put in enough effort to sit there and try to design something myself, but something like circular and flat like lace is, it's really hard to make it like nice, but then also visually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they like that. That just seems, yeah. It seems like a wild way to design things. I don't know how. Sorry, I got lost in the chat for a second. I lost what I was talking about.
Trying to count and read at the same time.
Yeah, it's not easy. I'm definitely getting a lot better at it, but it is definitely a difficult task. Yeah, I really want to do a mandala. I think that's something that I want to try designing in the future.
Oh yeah. And then just something that you can hang on the wall.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so cool. It's just so cool to think about all the options for this. All the options for this art. I had a question, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, when are you most creative? I was saying that like in the middle of the night for me, like honestly like at 2 a.m. is when my biggest ideas hit me. How about yourself?
You stay up late, but I'm quite an early riser.
I noticed that you emailed me at like 6 a.m. once, and I was like, what? I was like getting ready for bed.
I don't know, because you have cats,
Mhm.
right? So my cat is a very early riser. He is by my side of the bed, like 5:30, just constantly whacking me in the face. So like I might as well just get up anyway.
Yeah.
So I've been conditioned to wake up super early because of my cat.
Totally. I'm lucky that my girlfriend's the one that deals with the cat in the morning, and then I deal with the cats at night. And yeah, I'm lucky because I've always, for my entire life, been a night owl.
Right.
Even when I was in elementary school, I would stay up and watch Adult Swim without my parents knowing. I'd watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Do you remember that show at all?
Totally.
Watching it back now, it's not a very good show, and I don't know why my parents let me watch it, but
Yeah, I find like a lot of the shows that I have such like rose tinted glasses for, like I went back and watched the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon.
the animated one.
Yeah, the animated one.
Yeah.
I loved it as a kid, but like it doesn't hold up.
It doesn't hold up. Yeah, I tried watching X-Men, the old X-Men series, and it's just TV now. It's just so different. It's like it's so slow compared to now. I mean, it just must be our attention spans now, because our attention spans definitely are insanely lower than they used to be, just
Right.
probably because of social media, realistically. But it's just crazy to watch those old shows and see how different just the medium was and is becoming, you know?
Yeah, because like shows now, like Family Guy or like Rick and Morty, like the jokes like have to keep coming.
Yeah. I mean, you could watch Rick and Morty like 15 times and find different jokes in it. And it's like the effort that these comedians are putting into filling every single second with a laugh, that must be exhausting. Like I just can't imagine. Dude, look how big this is. This is getting huge. Like I'm only on round 1, 2, 3. I'm only on round 6 right now, so it's gonna increase still like 2 more rounds. So it's going to be like,
Because yours
dude.
is already the size of like the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Like,
How about your, oh my gosh, what round are you on?
just started round 6.
Oh my gosh, dude, this is that's insane.
I know. I'll often have people ask me, like how to, like, increase the size of their amigurumi.
Yeah.
And then they always stress out about having to alter the pattern, but no, like you just.
Yeah. Totally.
No.
Yeah. Same. People ask all the time. That's like one of the biggest questions is how do I make this bigger? And I just say use bigger yarn. Just use bigger yarn. And you're set. Did you see that that giant T-Rex that I made?
Yes.
Man, that I'm gonna start using that yarn like all the time.
So where is it currently housed?
It's housed in. Oh, you know what? I sold it. Someone asked to buy it, and I was like, yeah, sure, I can always make another one. That thing only took me like half an hour to make.
Sweet.
It was crazy because it was just such a big yarn, and the pattern is, you know, I mean, it's a nearly a no-sew pattern, so it's really not difficult to like put together.
Sarah, right before you leave, Gargoyles, I just recently watched as well. That is a show that holds up really, really well.
Oh, yes. You know what? Yeah. I noticed that she said that too. Yeah, that is a show that totally holds up. It's on Disney Plus now, right?
I was so surprised, like, how adult the themes were for...
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally agree. It's a surprisingly good show. Like, I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I think that Batman the Animated Series also probably holds up pretty well.
And I think that kicked off like a lot of like mature-ish cartoon shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're totally right there. Have you been watching any other newest shows?
Let me think. I'll be honest, I haven't been watching a lot of shows just because we canceled Netflix right before COVID.
What? Why?
Because I didn't want it to tempt me to just binge watch and then not do anything while we were in quarantine.
Yeah.
So I wanted to cancel it to sort of force myself to be.
Wow, you have some willpower, man. That is, I do not have that. I don't have that will even just to debate deleting it.
It's been a little tough, but you know, like I've discovered lots of really cool podcasts, or just even other creators on YouTube. Like I'll just play something in the background while I crochet.
So who are some of who's like one of your favorite YouTubers right now?
So there's a channel called Drawfee that
I love Drawfee. Yes, I totally love Drawfee.
Like I can just sit there and just play them back to back.
Yeah, and they're very funny. Yeah, the college humor dudes.
Super funny, and just like the amount of creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always wanted to reach out to them because I have a contact with like I have a similar contact, like someone that they know that I know, and I always wanted to reach out to have them draw a monster for me to crochet. When I used to do those like Monster Monday episodes, and I thought they would be like the perfect people to reach out to for it. And now I feel like that was early Drawfee when it was actually maybe an opportunity, and now it's like too little too late. Those guys are huge now. Maybe they would reply, I don't know. But yeah, I also really like Drawfee a lot. I started watching on the Disney Plus channel, I started watching the new Muppet show. It's called like Muppets Now. Have you seen it?
No.
It's I really enjoy it. I've always been like a really Muppet fan,
Right.
and I think they're back on like the right track with Muppets Now, where like the Muppet Show kind of idea, but it's a lot more modern. I think you should give it a shot because it sounds like you have Disney Plus.
I used to. I also canceled that at the same time.
What kind of podcast are you listening to then?
So I listen to a lot of Super nerdy. I listen to a lot of science podcasts.
Oh, cool.
Ologies is one of my favorites. So the host, every week she talks to a different scientist or expert about a specific like ology, it could be anthropology or uh, uh,
Dude,
astrology.
this sounds like so up my alley. I'm writing it down just so I don't forget. Just
Yeah, it's just
ology?
ologies. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I have you ever listened to any of the my brother and my brother and me kind of guys? Yeah,
Um, there. Yeah. The Griffin.
the
Sorry.
the McElroy brothers.
Yes.
Yeah, I love like pretty much anything they do, but the uh, Sawbones is very I think might be right up your alley. I don't know if you haven't
Yeah.
heard of
Yeah.
it.
I listen to Sawbones. Love it.
Yeah, that's a really good show.
Yeah.
And then
Have like this podcasting empire.
they do. Yeah, they are kind of Have you ever listened to they have a podcast about video games called The Besties, and
No.
it's really good. It's much more it's not I mean it is funny, but it's more about like looking at video games as like the art of video games. I think it's really worth a watch, or I mean a listen if you need another podcast. But it sounds like you got 1.5 million.
Um, just just looking at the chat. Lunesi actually has a really good question. Um, she asked, "What kind of formula can you use to crochet a circle and keep it round and growing?" Um, so this is like the math nerd teacher in me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start with a magic ring of 6, usually you want to just keep growing each round by that same number. So you start with 6, you want to grow by 6 each round. Oh, how am I going to explain this in a way that makes?
I call that I call it the rule of sixes, because I find that anything bigger than 6, it doesn't end up being like this is increasing by 8s, and it's currently making a perfect circle because I'm flattening it, but it is wanting to get like wavy like this.
Yeah.
Like it's wanting to do that in it. But I find that if you do 6s, it makes it very perfectly flat for me. Or like it by increasing by 6s, it makes it a very clean circle, whereas increasing it more than 6s, or if you do less than 6s, it really like makes it more of a point.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I could answer this question better. There is a formula. I'm sure like I can come up with one, but it's one of those things like you probably know, like it just becomes second nature. Like you've just been doing it for so long. Mm-hmm. Like these numbers just you don't think about them; they just come naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, and once I like 6s too because for me it's also really easy to find divisions of 6s so that you can do different things in different places on your stitches. Whereas if you do like 8s, well, I guess it's just that I've been doing things within 6s for so long that like I just know if I put stitches on this side, like how to perfectly put stitches on one side to mirror the other side. And now that would just be, I guess it wouldn't be that confusing with 8s because it's at least an even number. But yeah, like yeah, I agree. I think it just kind of becomes second nature as you just keep making stuff over and over. I wonder where the 6 stuff started, because I've always been doing 6s pretty much from the beginning of me crocheting amigurumi.
Yeah, and it just works out. But you mean to go along with the bees that you made last week, honeycombs are just like nature's perfect shape.
Yeah, they really are.
Something about that number 6 sides, it works out so aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just very, yeah, it's just nice. I'm wondering if I'm gonna have enough yarn to finish the full bell bag. So there's gonna be a point where I'm either gonna run out of yarn and switch over to doing the I-cord for a while or something. I don't expect that we're going to be finishing the entire bell bags today.
No,
well,
I'm like row 7 out of
Yeah.
40.
But we'll see. We'll see where we get. I think after about, let's see, how long have we been going? We've been going for 45 minutes. So let's say at about an hour 15, so about half an hour from now, I'd like to do a little halftime show with you where we could show off some stuff that we've been making this week. I don't have too much to share, but I think it'll be kind of fun to see some of the stuff that you've been working on. I'm sure there's, regardless of if you've been doing it this week or if you've made it in the past, I'd love to see some of your little hidden treasures, I guess.
Well, if anyone follows me on Instagram, they'll know what I've been working on all week.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll keep it more of a secret, but like for a little halftime show. But also check him out on Instagram. He's just at Sir Purl Grey. You can see it on screen now. It's like right, if you follow my finger, pew, right over there at Sir Purl Grey. He makes currently it's been mostly Animal Crossing characters, and that is very much not a bad thing at all. They have been very cool. I mean, other than this amazing Gulliver, I have loved you. Okay, so I don't know. I'm not going to take full credit for the idea of Flick, but I am going to say you killed the design on it. It is so cool. I love what you did with Flick. I love his net.
Yeah, and that inspiration came from someone in this chat. I don't quite remember who did.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you did such a great job with him. It's been very cool, and you even did a live stream crochet along like a week or so ago with it too.
Do just to chat with people and then just make Flick's head, just because that's the most difficult part of the pattern. So just give everyone like with your videos too, like giving that extra visual, like especially when you're learning how to do something, just like benefits like beginner crochets or even experienced ones so much.
Yeah, and I really like doing the video tutorials for everything because I mean it is a lot of work, especially when it's like Gulliver here when there's so many different pieces, but it makes it, I very rarely get questions, people reaching out with questions about like how to do this part or how to do that part, because there's always that video for them to jump back to, for them to like get very, detailed instructions on specific parts. So it pays off in that regards, but I do have to say, for those bigger patterns, like this bell bag, for example, I did a whole video tutorial for it. And that took like 5 days of recording. It was like so long. But I hope it's going to be worth it. I hope people really enjoy it. Yeah. Thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca says like that. And yes, you do need to go see that flick. I think you could also find Philip's YouTube channel by just searching Sir Purl Grey as well. Or hey, you know what, Philip? If you just want to comment in the chat, because are you on your YouTube channel right now?
Yes, I am.
So if you just want to comment in the chat, they might be able to just click your channel there to get to you if you want.
Actually, I'm signed in as my other account.
Yeah, that's what I always do too. I'm signed in on my other account as well.
But it's spelled Sir Purl Grey, just like it is at the top of your screens.
Go check them out. Hey, Lizzie, thank you so much. So Lizzie just gave us a little super chat, said such an excellent crocheter. I'm assuming she's talking about you. Do you want to could you do a little head dance right now? Or maybe like a little finger dance for Lizzie? Show off some of your sweet hip hop dancing skills.
I don't even
you can just do like this. That's what I do. Yeah, do a little voguing.
Hey, like I was so bummed out this semester when like schools got locked down, because I had so many like really cool instructors to come in.
You had like all this like in-person stuff going on,
like because the first semester, so I had a Vogue instructor come in and the kids loved it. It was so much fun.
That is so cool. Where did you find a Vogue instructor?
So she was a girlfriend of one of my former students.
Wow. And does she say, like, is that what she does? Is she teaches how to Vogue?
Yeah, and she dances in like competitions and ballrooms, and she's amazing. It's one of those things where like, you definitely have to be comfortable with stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially with voguing. I feel so awkward voguing. I mean, just in general, but wow,
But yeah,
this guy is getting huge. Dude, this is going to be a straight up pillow.
oh yeah.
I don't even know what to do with it. It's going to be
like
cool.
a couch cushion. You can just
Yeah.
leave it out for guests.
Yeah, we wanted to do a giveaway for this, but I totally forgot to set it up right. Maybe we'll next time. We'll do it. We'll figure out some kind of giveaway to do.
There was a question a little ways back. Ampersand Castle asked, as experienced crocheters, what do we still find difficult and challenging? So for you, what do you still find
Difficult and challenging. I would say the things that I find difficult and challenging are trying to make my patterns with the least amount of sewing possible. That's what keeps the challenge for me, because like I'm always looking for another challenge. But if I can make something like these little the squids that I've been working on, where it's like all in one piece without sewing together anything, that is a difficult thing. I have to make them like 7-8 times before I even am close to getting it so it's no sewing. And that is definitely the biggest challenges for me. That is the most rewarding, personally. How about yourself?
Well, before that, just like when I first started, like when I just signed up for Instagram and then found your work, you were making like Zelda and Chic, but like those
Yeah, the pod people. That's what I call them. Yeah.
And it always amazed me that you just did it in one continuous round.
Yeah, I wish. So what I'm working on right now is I'm trying to work on a series of videos, starting with how to do color changes. So I specifically for this beach ball. That's going to be the start of it. I did it for. I have this new chart that I've been working on to explain how to do color changes, to like make a chart for color changes for amigurumi specifically, because there's not really too many really useful charts out there for amigurumi for doing color changes. So I'm working on a series where I explain the color change chart, and then I'm working on a series about those pod people using the color change charts so that you can make your own pod person based on any kind of character that you want to. And my idea is going to be that if you you can submit the color change charts to the website, and we'll just have like a whole catalog of these charts that anybody can make one and add it to the site, so you can make all these different kinds of characters just like that, those little pod people. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm working as fast as I can because I need to get it done for this next month's pattern for um, the summer characters. But oh, what? Sorry, I just got an email from someone that I just got distracted. That's what happened. I just got distracted. It's so easy to get distracted with crochet.
Yeah. Well, and like this last year too, like I have like 3 or 4 devices in front of me right now. I can't even imagine what your space looks like.
Dude, okay, so I'll tell you right now. We got okay, so I've got my computer right here, and on the computer has the YouTube channel going with all the. I don't know how my internet is keeping up, but it's got the YouTube channel so I can see the chat and like how many people are watching, stuff like that. It's got the notes because I have like questions to ask and stuff, and then our screen. And then I've got my iPad here with the pattern and the chat open on the iPad so that it's closer to the camera. And then I've got a screen, like my TV screen, behind the camera with you on it so I can see what's going on over there. It is too many devices. It is way too many. And then there's a camera right here. It's just like, just over time, I've figured out, I just keep buying, that's like my main thing that that I make guilty purchases on are little stupid little devices like cameras and tripods and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And now I've got just this collection of of gizmos and gadgets that I get to use for these live streams. I love it.
No, I get it. Like I've just only started making these videos, and I've already amassed way more electronics than I've ever owned in my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty exciting. Plus, when you
Oh,
have all these kind of things, you can do like did you see on I think it was yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, I did that little bumblebee um, puppet video. It was like a bumblebee like going over the screen.
yeah.
I that learning how to do that is just like the outcome of having this many gadgets available. Just comes with getting this much stuff. You figure out how to do these weird little things, and you're like, oh, you know what? I bet I could do that now.
Yeah, and I think that sort of ties into like why I like crochet as well. It's you have all these things, and it's nice to kind of problem solve your way through
Mm-hmm.
things that you can imagine wanting to do, and then trying to execute it.
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool. My mom and dad always said that my dad was really good at, or my mom was really good at thinking up things to do, and then my dad was really good at figuring out how to make that thing happen. And I think those two worlds combined in work really well together with crochet. Like it's really easy to think up an idea and then know how to make it with crochet. It's just like it really is like 3D printing.
Yeah,
It's really that is the best way to describe crocheting amigurumi, is that you get to actively 3D print and honestly work faster than a 3D printer, and you can do it anywhere. God, I'm gonna on my deathbed still be saying crocheting is the best thing in the world.
before you started crocheting, would you say that you were crafty? Did you have
Yeah.
any other? Like,
Yeah, definitely. I started with I started crafting just a bunch of little things for friends. I started with like doing mix CDs for friends.
yeah.
I think I might have went too big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, I'm good. So I started making just little crafts for friends with like mix CDs, and then I do the album art out of like fabric, and I'd sew stuff together, and then I'd make like little books for friends and stuff like that. And then I found something that was crocheted online, and I thought, oh my god, I think it was an octopus, and I thought, oh my gosh, how cool, you can like make this out of yarn. How do you even do that?
Yeah.
And then once I got like the basics down for how to do that, I started to make that just like exploded. I started making things for girls I had crushes on, which ended up working out really well. But yeah, but I got crocheting out of it. That's the biggest thing that I got out of that. Yeah, how about you? Did you like doing lots of different crafts before crochet, or well, I know you knitted, but how about before that?
So my parents are tailors, so they've just sewed ever since I was born. Before I was born, so growing up, I was always just experienced. I was always exposed to
Yeah.
sewing machines and like making clothes. That's how I got started. And then then I ventured into origami and just like really enjoying working with my hands. Um, yeah, and then knitting and then crocheting. So like I've always never like not done something with my
Yeah.
hand.
Not something, yeah, not done something crafty. Well, and crocheting is the perfect medium for you too because of the math background as well. Like there's so much. I mean, it's not like crazy mathematic, but there's definitely math involved in crocheting. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
undeniable.
yeah, it's super subtle. It's there.
Yeah. I wonder how deep. I mean, I bet you if you got into some really abstract crocheting, you could use math in some really cool ways.
There's actually a crochet book, um, and it's crocheting to try to explain like these warped solids that like make sense mathematically. Like theoretically, they make sense, but these are shapes that cannot exist in the real world. So, but you can crochet these shapes, like making these like hyperbolic solids. Um,
Whoa! What is? Do you know what the book is called off the top of your head?
I can't quite remember.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
That is sounds really really cool though.
I'll do some digging, and I'll email you about it later.
Yeah, please do. That sounds super interesting. I'm
Yeah,
finally in my rounds 11 through 30, just like the repetitive single crochets now. So that's kind of cool.
almost there. I keep losing count. It's
Yeah,
like,
you know, I noticed you're not using a stitch marker, and usually I don't use stitch markers. I'm mostly a not stitch marker kind of guy, but I found with this pattern, and especially when you're doing videos, it's with live streams. It's really useful to use stitch markers because you get lost quickly because you look
just
at the
'cause
chat and whatever.
numbers have gotten so big.
Yeah, but yeah, you usually do no stitch marker then.
Um, Usually if I'm doing like a smaller piece, like most of the work that I do, I don't really need the stitch markers.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, if I am watching something in the background, it is quite beneficial.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't have to undo half an hour's worth of work.
yeah, totally. So do you what is the you said usually you're doing small stuff, which yeah. What's your favorite item that you've made, let's say this within the past year?
Ooh, let's see. Um, like I've just made so much that it's
Yeah.
sort of like together. Um, oh, actually, I made these like little chubby birds. So it was like a little
Oh, I
chubby like
loved it. Yes, like it was like a parakeet kind of thing with like
yeah,
the like three little things on the forehead, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and such a nice simple pattern, and you can just take that as a base and then play around with it so much.
Make a bunch of different kinds of birds.
Yeah, because when I released that pattern, so many people were messaging me with their interpretations of the pattern, and it was honestly so cool seeing what everyone did with it and how differently every one of them looked.
Yeah. That was a really cool pattern. And that also is a really cool reason why, like, that was a cool explanation for why that was your favorite one, I have to say. Because I think that's one thing that being a designer is what's really rewarding is seeing other people using your base of an idea and making something completely different is really cool.
Yeah, and it was a while ago in the chat, but I did see someone ask like what's the best way to sort of get into pattern making, and for me it was just crocheting a lot and then
Hmm.
not being afraid to experiment, not being afraid to do something wrong,
Hmm. Yeah.
and then yeah, eventually like you start understanding how shapes form, and then like that's the basis of everything. Like if you know how to make a spear, um, and then you can sort of visualize it as you're crocheting. Like that's basically just how you get started.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I think another important thing about being a designer that I wish someone said to me when I was first starting to get into designing is don't stop making other people's patterns. Don't just because you start designing doesn't mean like you should stop making what other people make too, because you learn so much by getting out there. And I think our collaborations are an amazing example of that, of like, there's so many techniques that I never thought about because I just have been in my own little bubble of designing for so long. And so I would very much suggest that if you are getting into amigurumi design, continue making, looking at what other people make too, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of making something that other people make. Also, it's a lot more rewarding than I was expecting, and that's a more recent thing that I've realized that I wish I knew before. D&D Maps asks, how do you not have large holes in your crochet piece? He tried using bulky yarn the other day, and it left lots of big holes after each stitch. And I'm curious of what you have to say to that, but my answer, because you use a large crochet hook for everything, but my answer is usually use a smaller crochet hook than you're planning on. If you tend to crochet a little bit bigger, use a smaller crochet hook and it will decrease your gauge and make your holes a lot smaller. But holes in crochet are definitely a difficult thing to work around. Like even this one, you can kind of see there are for sure holes in it, but I have done a surprisingly, I think I've just been crocheting tighter than normal because this crochet hook is a little smaller than is suggested. I think, let me look at the suggested crochet hook for this yarn. If I can find the wrapping, which I think I just tossed to the side. But what about you? What's your
My rule of thumb, because like I'm a tight crocheter, and that's why I use the larger hook. So for me, when I buy yarn, like on the little paper label, it'll suggest like say a 5mm hook.
Yeah, here. This is the label for this yarn. It's Lion Brand's Hometown USA. It's a bulky yarn, and they're suggesting a size N crochet hook. Now let me show you what an N. I think I have one over here. I think this is N. Yeah. So this is an N crochet hook, and this is the crochet hook that I'm using. So you can see it is like 2 times as big. And I think the fact that I'm using the smaller one is making my holes a lot less noticeable. I think they suggest this because they're assuming that you're making blankets.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it's so hard to just make up a rule too, just because everyone has such a personal, like their own tension.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the spectrum between like a loose crocheter and a tight crocheter. It's one of those things where you just keep crocheting. You just eventually find what works for you.
Yeah, it's just like finding your style. It's like you just keep going and then you figure out. You gotta learn what your body wants to make. You know, it's just this is what my hands want to do. They want to make things tighter, and then once you have that information, you can control it with what size crochet hook you're using.
This is a little more meta, but to go along with the what's difficult about crocheting, do you find like your body, like I'm constantly like slouched over?
Oh man, I don't know if you can see me in this video, but I've been like like a little, like I feel like a little henchman, like while I'm crocheting right now. I find that the best way to do it for me is I go and lay in my couch and I just fall. I'm essentially laying straight flat down while I crochet. It's a terrible way to do it, but that is my normal position when I'm crocheting.
Yeah.
And you're saying but you're usually very slouched.
Yeah, I'll be sitting in a chair, but then we're always looking down, so I'm just hunched over. So constantly reminding myself to look up every 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I tried for a long time crocheting like up like this by putting pillows under my arms and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's exhausting. It's just really tiring and it just feels so unnatural to me that I couldn't keep up. I couldn't make it into a habit. It was just too difficult. But
we were talking about this earlier. But the difference between yarning over and yarning under.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are you so currently you're yarning over?
Yeah. So if I slow it down, my hook goes over the yarn, and then I wrap it and then pull back.
Yeah, and
So
I'm currently. Well, what is this? I'm doing yarn overs too, right? Whereas yarn under, I would be pulling like this, I think. And then I'd be going over. Wait, I don't know. Yeah, I think the way that I'm currently doing it, it makes like little X's if you do the yarn unders.
yeah. Or
Right? I haven't done it enough to really get an idea of how it works. But you were saying that you stopped doing as much yarn unders because it was affecting how your color changes worked or something?
yeah. So when you show that beach ball, and like with crocheting, it's almost unavoidable, like like having your stitches slant.
Slant over to the right, yeah.
Yeah. But when I found when I started yarning over to get that crossed stitch,
Mm-hmm.
um, then the slanted it was still there, but uh, it was much less noticeable than when I was yarning under.
Okay, so let me. Can you? I need to. I guess I just need to test it out a lot more with like a full piece where I'm doing one way and then versus the other way, so I can really test it out. I think that would be a very interesting video to do too. So I'll start working on that because I think, yeah, it's just something I wanna. It's just like the magic loop. It's just something that I need to start testing this out so I can see what the
Yeah, the differences.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Does our tension affect that as well? Like because I'm tighter crocheter, maybe that's why my stitches slant so much.
Maybe, yeah. That definitely, yeah, that might have something to do with it. I think regardless your stitch. I mean, I think regardless your stitches are going to pull off to the right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I found there's this other stitch that is called the. Oh, it's been a long time since I've used it. But essentially, what you're doing is instead of working into the V on the top of your crochet stitch, you're working into the center of the V from the last stitch. So it's like
It's called the waistcoat. Waist.
Yeah,
stitch.
yeah, or yeah. There's another word for it that starts with an S. But if you do that method, it goes straight up and down.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Like it makes it look a lot more like knitting, honestly.
Right.
But by doing it that way, two things. One, your piece becomes really dense because you're making it a lot shorter, and also it limits the amount of ways that you can do different stitches. I mean, there's just so much design that's gone into just making amigurumi with regular old single crochet stitches where all these like using bobble stitch and stuff like that, it's going to be a lot more difficult using this other stitch. But that also is something that I've wanted to start messing around with, especially with color changes, because I think you can do some really fancy footwork with that.
Great.
So once you're done with this round, let's do our little halftime show and do a little show and tell, and we'll work. I really want to start working on two things. One, I want to work on a little theme song for it, where it's like da 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 da, show and tell or something. I don't know. And then also, I think it'd be really fun in the future to do halftime shows with a little animation series or a game show or something in the halftime show. I think that'd be a cute idea. I've mostly this week been just working on dinosaurs more because I'm trying to figure out the perfect color combination for a kit for dinos. So a lot of what I've been making this week is dinosaurs, but I have a few little things I'm ready to share. And feel free to not just share what you've been doing this week, but just like things you've been making more recently that you'd like to show off.
For sure. Okay, so my round's done, and it's so much smaller than.
It's crazy. What round did you just get to the?
Come on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I just finished my 12th round.
Wow. So you're already in the part where it's going straight up. Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. You could fit that, like, you could fit 2 of those in this.
How's your yarn supply? Are you gonna run out?
I think I'm about halfway done with this ball of yarn. I'll tell you, I'm not gonna run out in this video, I don't think, but I am gonna run out before I finish this bell bag. So yeah. I think I'll just have to run over to Joann's and hope that they have more yarn in this style. I really like using brands that I'm very confident that the color is going to stay the same between skeins. So I like using like Lion brand for that reason a lot. So I'm not too worried about getting the same color again. But here is my last stitch for I just finished round 12 too. That's crazy. We're like working very at a similar pace.
Yeah, although I do think I may be short of a few stitches here and there.
Oh, really? Did you miss some? This is so cool though. I really think this is such a cool pattern. Okay, so what do you got to share with us?
So this week, I have been working on so from Animal Crossing, I've been working on Celeste.
Yes, I know there's a Blathers out there somewhere too.
Yeah, and here he is. Here's her brother.
I love it.
Same base pattern, just different colors. Bow tie instead of a bow for Blathers.
I love it. I like what you did with the eyes too. I like that you used oval eyes for Celeste there. Very cool.
Yeah. So Blathers has the safety eyes, but Celeste just has the felt.
Oh, I didn't realize that. They look like safety eyes in this lighting. Oh, you know what? When I look over, I can see that it is felt. That's super cool though. What did you do for Blathers' his chest there? You did some color changes?
Yeah, so it's same thing for Celeste. It was so I was alternating for the first row. It would be 2 brown, 2 white, 2 brown, and then the next row would be 2 white, 2 brown, 2 white. So just sort of a checkered pattern.
It looks great. I'm super excited to see what kind of pictures you do with them. So you went to the library with them recently too?
Yeah. So the libraries have been open for about a month now. Like with all their safety protocols and everything in place. It's been nice getting out of the house, having an excuse to leave the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I for sure am feeling that necessity to get out. Luckily, I live right across the street from the beach, so I don't have to go too far to get out.
Nice to be right by the ocean.
Yeah, it is. I feel very fortunate to be in that situation right now. But so this week for me, I've been working on stars. So I started with your star. I have like a bunch of star patterns in the past, but I've been working on sewing these 2 stars together. So I made this one using the same star that we used for this bell bag, and I just sewed them together, and it makes this like cool, I don't know, toy star. But I started doing that with a lot of different star patterns, and here's a bunch of little mini ones that I made, and they're like candy. They're so dense. They're like little toy. I don't know what to do with them yet, but I've been really enjoying making them. So these ones are just tiny ones. This one's even smaller. This is the star that I used for the little mini bell bag. What I did was I just crocheted 2 of those stars and then sewed them together, and it made this like it feels like it's cereal or something. Like I don't know what to do with them yet, but I really, really, really am enjoying that. I'm thinking about doing a video where I just show how to crochet stars in like 7 different ways. So here's another one that I made, a different pattern for different kinds of stars. Here's a bigger one that I made. This one's kind of using your pattern here, but I made it so it's more pointy. Yeah, that's my biggest thing that I've been working on this week was I just can't stop making them. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with these, but they sure are fun to make.
Well, I'm just thinking right now, and still Animal Crossing related. With the larger star, there's an item in Animal Crossing called the Star Garland.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, just like make a bunch and then string them together, hang them on the wall.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. Yeah, I was thinking of doing a baby mobile where the center is the sun, and then we have stars hanging from the outside, and then I could use the planet Earth amigurumi, and like we can make a moon and a rocket ship and stuff. That's something I've kind of been dabbling with of an idea. Another thing
Right.
that we've both been working on, which I'm a little worried about showing it because I think the pattern's not going to be out for a little while, but it's it might be kind of fun to tease. We have been working on a, a present pattern, another collaboration for for Animal Crossing. Do you happen to have your the balloon and stuff?
I do. I'm just gonna run and grab it.
Okay, I'll show off this one while you're working on it. Um, so Philip came to me and said, "Hey, maybe for our next one we could do a floating present." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea! I love that idea so much." Here's his. This is the prototype. Um,
So it's got a little wire to hold up the balloon.
yep, I love it. I love it. I think it's so cute. And then, so once I saw that, I couldn't help myself. The next day, I thought, oh, you know what would be really cool? What if we could make it so that the box could open and close? So I made this design, and here I'll show you. I can untie it, and in it, we got a bell bag. It fits the bell bag perfectly inside. So this is a pattern that we're going to be working on coming out soon-ish. I'm thinking we're probably going to correlate this closer to Christmas time since we can make a little present out of it too. But this is something that we both been working on, kind of a nice little tease for you guys.
And
Yeah.
we wanted that you could fit like a lot of Animal Crossing items into that little box. So here's this little prototype
Oh, you
pitfall.
made it! Oh, so cute! Yeah, I love it. So Pitfall, do you have other ones too, or did you just finish
No,
the
that was
Pitfall?
the only one I had time to make.
Okay, because we're gonna work on a few different things that we can put in there. Um, I was starting on a leaf design, which I think was working out pretty well. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to do that cut out of it, but I'm like so close. I think I just need to make it like 2 or 3 more times to get there. Um, so I'm close to that one. But yeah, definitely an exciting thing that we're working on soonish for Club Crochet-ish. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're gonna get there. Um,
Yeah.
and then let's see, maybe one more item that we can show off. I don't think I have anything uh, that I've been making this recently that anybody really wants to see. I could show more squids that I've been making, but I don't think I've shown squids enough for the past live streams. You got anything else you want to share?
Um, Speaking of working on other people's patterns,
Mm-hmm.
um, I do you know all about Ami.com?
Allaboutamy.com. I don't, but let's look them up real quick.
So she her blog is where I started.
Yes, I have seen her before.
I started like crocheting some of her amigurumi patterns, and uh, she just recently released a basket pattern. Let me go grab it.
Oh yeah, the rustic tweed basket. It's on her site right here. Oh yeah, I see. So she's making like a really big flat long piece, and then she just goes around. Oh, it's nice and simple. I like it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can fit this all into the frame, but um, it's like I don't usually make anything practical,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really nice to almost be done something that I can actually uh, use as home decor.
Yeah, I like what she does with the outer rim there. I don't know what it seems like. It's kind of like a knit.
Yeah, it was super tricky. But it's all it is just they're just slip stitches. It's just
Oh,
two round stitches.
oh! I'm talking about the. I don't think you've gotten to that part yet, but on the outer rim thing, she does this really interesting like crochet around a maybe like a chain or something. I'm not sure what she's doing there, but it looks really unique. It's like for the rim of the outside of the basket. It looks like, oh, she's doing it around a wire.
Huh. Okay, I'm not quite there yet.
It's super, I'm excited for you to get there because it looks really cool.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
cool.
it is nice doing something like a little mindless
Yeah.
where you set up the rows and then you just do it for a couple days.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this basket, the bell bag too. Is once you get to the rounds that we're at now, it's
Yeah.
so this is perfect for like doing anything. I can talk as much as I want while I'm crocheting, just in the round over and over again. Or I could do I could watch movies. I don't have to. I don't even have to look down at it at this point. Hey, that's a. I'm gonna get back into crocheting now, but that I have a question for you. Um, are you able to crochet without looking down at all?
If I'm doing single crochets, so I'm trying right now. I'm just looking at the camera. If I'm doing single crochets, I can feel my way around.
Yeah, I think it'd be really fun as a challenge for myself to try to do an entire pattern without looking at it at all and see how many mistakes I can do I can get to. But when I was in high school, I used to make beanies a lot, like really often. And when I would do the beanies, I would always do it. It was I would get to a part where you just do the single crochets around over and over again, and I would practice doing it with my eyes closed or just not looking down, and I would get really far without making any mistakes. But I haven't practiced in so long. But at a certain point of doing that, I would get to the point where I would fall asleep while I was crocheting because I was like crochet in bed with my eyes closed, and I'd wake up and I got like one or two rounds further than I thought I did because I was crocheting while I was sleeping.
Um, I'm s- I'm not great at it yet. Um, when I was knitting, it was super easy to just do it without looking, so I can
Yeah,
just watch the entire movie without ever looking at my work.
yeah, that's what Jules is like crazy good at crocheting or at knitting without looking down at all.
Crocheting is a little tougher because it's hard to kind of
Mm-hmm.
feel it.
Yeah, you should kind of have to go with that muscle memory of like where is the stitch, and then just trust that you get into the right spot and you didn't accidentally make an increase or skip a stitch or something. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to have enough yarn to make the whole thing, but I think I'll get about halfway up on my single crochet rounds. Melbell asks, Philip, I still would like to know why you yarn under for your first pull through and then yarn over to finish it. Why not do the same for both steps?
I have never thought of it. I've never actually like broken down the way that I crochet like that. Okay, so if I do it normally, so I'm yarning. Oh, so I would yarn over for the first pull through, oh, and then yarn under for my next one. Oh,
You know what? That's
I've never.
crazy. I do the same. Let's see. Um, you can make, yeah, I split my yarn by accident. There we go. Okay, so I go in, and then I go under my piece and I hook on, and then I pull that through, and then I go, well, what is this? So, do you consider this like pushing the yarn over your crochet hook? That's a yarn over or a yarn under because I'm not going over my crocheting
I call that a yarn under.
because I'm going under the yarn. That
You
makes
go under.
sense. So I do the same then, I guess. So I do a yarn under and then another yarn under. But
Yeah. Oh, so I alternate between yarn over and then yarn under.
that
That is,
whoa, and it does definitely change the way the stitch looks. The
yeah.
stitch kind of like curves. It kind of like twists slightly when you do that way.
Um, Wow, Melville, you have sharp eyes. I've been crocheting for so long and never noticed that.
Yeah, I honestly have never really thought about the differences there. Man, I'm gonna have to experiment a lot with these different techniques for just crocheting. You know what I'm gonna start doing? I'm gonna make a piece that's just like a ball, where I alternate each round doing a different way, so we can see what they look like, and I'll share my findings. I'll try to do that, come out with that sooner rather than later.
So I wonder, when you started learning how to crochet, how did you, what did you use as a resource to
So,
learn everything?
yeah, when I first started, all I learned was um, how to do the chain, how to do a single crochet into a chain, and then how to um, do single crochets in the round. Um, and then after I learned that, I didn't look up any other tutorials. I would just make shit up. Oop, pardon my French, but make stuff up as I went. So that's actually one of the reasons why I got into video tutorials, was because I found that I would make up these stitches that I didn't have a name for, or I didn't know what the name was for because I didn't know how to look it up.
Right.
And so I would just have to do a video tutorial to explain whatever the stitch is. I mean, I know you've seen like versions of this with like the spiked bobble, just like
Yeah.
ways that I combine stitches together to make something new, and that is a direct relation to how I first started crocheting. I just kind of made stuff up as I went, and then later on, I found out that a lot of the ways that I was crocheting, I was technically crocheting incorrectly. At least, like, it is not the way people were taught, and you can see that in the way that I did the magic loop. Like, it comes back to haunt me now, because there's some things that I still do that are this archaic way that just like figuring out my own, and I didn't look into how other people make it first. But it does come into, like, it does help a lot because I get to make up stitches like the spiked bobble in it, and it's just the way my brain works now.
Your T-Rex too, like just the way that you make up like the bobbles.
Yeah, with the feet. So back to my question to you about like what your thing is that you're most proud of. That T-Rex is my most that's my most proud thing that I've made in the past year, I think, mostly because of those legs. It's just, I'm so proud that I like made up this brand new way to make legs so you didn't have to sew anything on.
So for me, my patterns require a lot of sewing.
Yeah.
So now that I'm been crocheting a lot of your patterns where everything's just one continuous piece, I'm definitely inspired by your patterns.
Thank you.
I have a few new things.
What'd you say?
Like if I'm designing something that requires just like a little spike or a little bump, rather than crocheting a whole separate piece. Like I think from now on, like I'll try to problem solve my way through.
Yeah,
Like
I definitely suggest it. I mean, I think that this goes back to the way that we design things. For me at least, I always make a prototype, and I just make it however I want to make it. There's no thought about how the pattern is going to be written. And then
right.
on my second go through, I tried to limit the way that I'm making stitches, or I tried to change the way that I'm like just to make it easier to explain in a pattern. And one thing that I do is just like that, like those spiked bobbles. Like for the Gulliver, when I first made it, you had a piece that is sewn on, so I made it that way and I sewed on the piece. And then I realized my second run through that I was like, you know what, I think we could just use a spiked bobble there and it'd save some time. Or I think yeah, there were a few different things. I think even this tail we might have been able to make without having a thing to sew on. But the good thing about the tail is that this was so easy to make and add on. I like that you made things in a magic loop and then like didn't even do another round after. You just like made it in a magic loop, pulled it tight, and then you used it to sew on. You did that for the bottom of the mouth here too. And that's something that is so simple and easy to add like little external features that is really easy. I also love how you made the wings. I think I added in like this so that they were more of a bump thing going on with the wings, but the idea that you crocheted like a tube basically and then you crocheted it together, really cool. Really, really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problemo.
But I think, like, for me, crocheting is one of those things that just has stuck and like I just keep doing it because I love problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're crocheting and designing, like all it is just like a lot of experimentation.
Yeah.
Trial and error, and I like that. That's what I thrive on. That's what I love.
Yeah, totally. I think that is definitely one part of crocheting amigurumi specifically that is very enticing to me, is that there's this whole problem solving element to designing your patterns that's just really cool. It's also really cool when you crochet other people's patterns and you find out how they problem solved and you're like, oh, look at you. I always think like, oh, look at your little thought process. I love it. Like with like what you did with the shirt and the pants attached for the Gulliver here. I loved that. That was so unique. Toad Magd asks, are we going to be doing a part 2 on this live stream? I don't think we will, just because I think I'm going to be taking a week off next week because I've been doing a lot of live streams recently. So I think I'm going to be taking a week off so that I can get a little bit further in my designs for the sandcastle here, because I'm a little behind here. This is actually not my design also. I should have mentioned that earlier. I feel really bad about that. This is another amigurumi artist who you'd actually probably like, Philip. She goes by Ravencraft Designs, and she did this cool way to make these they kind of look like rooks from chess, and she did this really cool thing for the edges for this to make these the edges for your castle. And I want to put a little bit more design into this for next week. So I don't think we'll be doing in part 2 for this pattern, but we definitely will be doing another collaboration live stream in the future. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted there for a sec. So yeah, so you're like a super morning person. Do you Oh, I guess we already talked about that. I'm looking through my questions now. Oh, this was it. So you're a super morning person. Are you also really organized and clean? Because it seems like, seeing your background and like barely seeing your background, but and your workspace there, it seems very put together. I mean, you know, you can be as put together as you can with all the crochet, but it seems very put together.
What you see looks very organized, but if you can see like behind the cameras, there's yarn, there's unfinished projects.
Yeah, a little bit of movie magic there.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm definitely not organized like outside of my brain.
Yeah.
My whole house, like honestly, if it wasn't for my partner who's super organized, our house would just look like a sty.
Yeah, I think that's just something that comes with I'm gonna say that it comes with being a creative person, because I don't want to take responsibility for the fact that I am crazy disorganized. I mean, if you were to see what I'm seeing right now, it is like it's really bad. There's a lot of unfinished projects, a lot of like just stuff on tables. I've been working on a new board game, and there's like all this paper craft stuff over there with scissors and like pieces all sewn, put to the side. It's wild right now.
Well, when you make your videos, you do it in one big continuous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
usually I do just like one fell swoop. Well, for this bell bag, that wasn't really the case because there's these parts of this pattern where it's just repetitive, like single crochets all the way around. So I took that, um, like for rounds 11 through 30 of this pattern, when you just do single crochets, I just did the first round and then I went to the couch, I watched a movie and finished the rest of it. And I did the same thing with the I cord.
yeah.
But yeah, usually it's just one long continuous video. And man, these lights get very warm. they are they get difficult. It gets sweaty. And by the end of my video, I think it depends on what the pattern is, but sometimes by the end of the video, I'm like, all right, thanks for watching. Okay, bye. Because I'm like, oh, I need to take a break.
The videos that I've been making, like I do like each piece in like in little chunks, but like I'll find like if I have to make one head, I'm like filming myself making 3 different heads, so then I just have pieces just all over the
Yeah,
place.
yeah. But that's great. You probably end up making so much extra stuff for you to sell at your at like craft fairs. I mean, you're probably gonna get a one heck of a stash for for your next thing, because I mean you're gonna have a long time before there's gonna be another opportunity to sell them all. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. We have a few storage boxes under our bed, and those there's not enough room under there now, so now
Yeah.
we have to start filling out into the living room.
Yeah, it's like, and I never want to give them away.
Yeah,
I have this like, especially the originals. The first time I make something, I very rarely want to do anything with it or sell it. And I mean, there's so many different designs that I do that it's like I never want to get rid of anything. And then my girlfriend's always like, "Lou, you need to start selling these. We need to figure something out because this this place is filled with little crocheted things." I'm like, yeah, well, it's just kind of the way it goes with me. That's
cool.
actually one of the reasons why Stitched became a reality, was because when I was making all these little goblins and stuff, and they were just sitting around the apartment. I wasn't even sharing them online, so I wasn't even posting pictures of them. And I had like 200 of them made. And Jules was like, "Lou, you got to figure out something to do with these. Like that, you can't just keep making them and then doing nothing with them." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Ah, you're right." So that night, I actually stayed up till like 4 or 5 a.m. and thought about, well, okay, what could I do with this? And then I came up with this game idea, and I mean, the rest is history. I love that game so much. It's a little complicated, but I really like it.
But it's so cool that like you were able to like frame that, like frame all of your like little dudes that you were making like into this game. Like
Yeah,
it's
it,
a whole other aspect of creativity.
yeah, I think that is definitely the next. I think that's something that's going to be a continuous thing for me. Is I'll keep, because I'm working on a new game that's based around dinosaurs right now, and since I've been making these squids, I've been thinking about another game that's based around you being a kraken and you have to like take down boats. And so now my brain just keeps going into these, like, how do I turn this into another board game? Because I think it's just such a cool way to use these little things that we're making. Just like we were talking about how to make it, how I enjoy making things interactive, or like you able to do something with them. Uh, and I think board games is going to be a very continuous thing for me in the future. It's just such a fun way to add another layer of creativity into whatever I'm designing.
And like having that unifying theme between your pieces,
Yeah,
it also like it helps you be inspired for your next pieces as well. Like I'm sometimes, I'll get to the point where I don't know what to make next.
hmm,
But if you're working with a theme, like it's a little easier to conceptualize what your next like link.
yeah, yeah, totally, totally. I think yeah, I really enjoy doing I enjoyed making things based on a like a video game, like the way that we're making Animal Crossing themed patterns. I love doing that. But I have in the past gotten cease and desists from specifically certain franchises. Not Nintendo. I've never gotten a cease and desist from them um, for pattern writing. I have gotten it for selling items, but not for pattern writing. But I haven't gotten. Anyhow, the reason I'm bringing this up is because of that, I started to realize, oh man, maybe it'd be more fun to do original designs more. And since I've been doing that, I mean, once I created those goblins and orcs, I was like, I could only make those for the rest of my life, I think, and I wouldn't get bored. They're just so entertaining for me to make. But that's just like a personal thing. And then and I don't know. It's just fun to make an original designs, and the fact that I made this like kind of theme that I could keep making original designs based on the exact same thing, but alter them slightly to make new characters and stuff. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, okay. So I'm getting close to the end of this ball of yarn. So I'm thinking, if it's okay with you, once we get to the end of this ball of yarn, I'll call it, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my hands are getting a little tired as well.
Yeah.
I don't often sit and just crochet in like a long spurt like this.
Yeah, and especially doing it on a live stream. I very, very much enjoy these Sunday live streams, and I want everybody in the chat to know I love you guys. You guys make my Sunday so much fun. But I do have to say, crocheting on a live stream, while you're talking the entire time while you're crocheting, you're reading a chat, it can get very exhausting.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up, and Lizzie, she asked when is Flick Part 2. I don't know if I will be doing a live stream for the second part. I think what I might do is just create just like one big video for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, look for that in the future.
Okay, so I want to ask you about free patterns, and this is going to be this might get a little hairy to talk about, but so something I realized is that you used to do a lot of free patterns. Like pretty much every pattern that you were making was free.
Yeah.
And it seems like more recently you've been selling the patterns a little bit more often, and I wanted to get your take on that. Why do you feel? I don't know where my question is going here, but I guess
I think I know what you're getting at. And it happens to me like when I'm at markets as well. Like when you sell work that you've made, you're never ever going to be paying yourself like a livable wage.
Yeah, there's like a limit. That's something that I realized too. There's a cap. You can only make so many items and make so much money off of those items.
Right. And then there's that very tricky balance of what can you charge that's fair for you, but also for your customer.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that's something I still often struggle with.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I've been doing this for like a decade of selling patterns. I'll tell you, that is something you never get over. I never feel like I want to charge. I always feel like I'm charging too much, and my patterns are like $3, and I still feel sometimes like I'm charging too much because I don't value my own art as much as I should be. Yeah.
And it's been like chats with you, but then also with other artists that I meet at these conventions and markets, where other artists they understand how much work goes into something, no matter what the craft is, and you have to get over that hump of like stop like undervaluing the amount of time and effort that you put into creating something.
Yeah.
And like that's something that like has to become a habit. Like you have to keep telling yourself that you can charge what you think is fair to yourself.
Yeah.
But then also for the customer. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think we should always be supporting. I mean, I'm a little bit. I've got a foot in the race to say this, but I do have to say like it. Oh wait, what is this? Sorry, I was reading Mel Bell's comment there, but yeah, I think that is something that we need to. I don't know. It's just there's this fine line, you know, that we have to toe between selling patterns and making free patterns. Because one of the main reasons why I do patterns, I would say the biggest reason why I do patterns, is because I want to see other people make something that I designed. I think it's so cool when people post a picture of like a triceratops that they made that I designed. It's like, oh my God, how cool is that? It's just so cool to me. But I have to also recognize the fact that I can't keep if I keep giving out free patterns forever, I can't keep coming out with patterns. Like it's limiting my long-term ability to keep coming out with stuff. And just like you, other artists kept coming to me and being like, you know, you're undervaluing yourself. You need to appreciate, like, people appreciate your art a lot more, and you deserve to be paid for it. And I think definitely with your patterns, that is something that is totally true. I don't know. Just like I said, it's a very fine line to toe, because it's not like I'm never going to do free patterns. Obviously, like, this pattern's free. Like, I enjoy doing free patterns. It's just that sometimes, yeah. I don't know why I brought this up or what I was trying to get with it, but you kind of get the gist.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people don't talk about it because it's an awkward thing to bring up.
Yeah. Money in general is always awkward. It's always uncomfortable to bring up, like, hey, give me money. But if you want Sir Purl Grey to continue making designs for as many designs as possible, support him. That's the best way to do it. Toss some money his way.
And like, I get your point of like wanting other people to make work out of your patterns, and then I think my philosophy for having them free for that little while was to make that barrier of entry really, really easy. But then you know, like, talking to you and then other people, like, when I create a pattern, I'm honestly like putting in maybe 20 to 30 hours of work, which, you know, like, if I'm not charging for it, like, I'm not, it's not healthy.
Yeah, totally. And it's also like you have a full-time job. I have a full-time job outside of crocheting, and so for me, every time, like, Club Crochet is a great example of currently it is a self-funding thing. So every time someone buys a pattern on Club Crochet, it just goes into making more patterns for the website. But my goal in the long run is to be able to quit my full-time job and just be doing this all the time, which it's just unrealistic currently. And I don't think I don't know how far away I am to making enough money to quit my full-time job. But I wonder, I doubt that's probably in your ideals, because I'm sure being a teacher, the reason you're teaching is because you love teaching. I mean, it's kind of hard to be a teacher and not enjoy teaching all the time.
It would be a dream come true to be able to crochet for a living and, like, just really loving what you're doing every single day.
Yeah. Do you think you would ever give up teaching, though?
I have considered it, or like, I'm the type of person who loves doing, like, lots of different things all the time. So, like, teaching is really, really great. I still love it, but, like, I don't know, maybe I'm sure I'll hit that breaking point where, you know, at this point I've taught every level of math class. So
right.
I'm just at this point where now I'm just teaching everything over and over and over again. Like, I'm not really learning anything new.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, dance has been really nice to have that, like, kind of break up the monotony. But, you know, like, who knows, 5-10 years from now, like, do I still just want to teach the same algebraic equation over and over and over again?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, see, like for me, it's like I don't know. Even if I was able to just crochet for a living, I don't think this is the only thing I'll ever be doing because I just like you. I just always want to make. I just want to have my hand in a bunch of different buckets at the same time. Like I want to teach how to crochet, but I also want to do graphic design and web design, and I also want to do, um, and I also want to do audio design, and I also want to do videos. And luckily, Club Crochet is kind of feeding that those desires in a lot of different ways. But I don't know if I'll ever ju- just have Club Crochet as my hustle. I think I'll always be doing something else too. I don't think I'll be able to control my brain from that desire.
Right.
Yeah. How do you take criticism? Like do
Um, I honestly like I haven't had to face much criticism like regarding my work.
yeah. I mean just in general, like for I think that's the reason I bring it up is because like I'm not intending on criticizing you at all. But the the reason I bring it up is because as an artist, eventually, you might not be taking too much criticism now, but eventually you will take criticism. It's inevitable. Some haters gonna hate, and I'm always curious about how another artist takes that because I want to. It it's difficult for me. Some people will. I'll get emails that will be not nasty, just straight like
Really?
un uncalled for, even in crochet, which is a shocking. I know originally for me it was very shocking that I would get emails of people like just kind of being mean, but uh, it's something I had to learn about, like how do I take this? How do you take criticism? How do you take people being
Um,
upset?
I teaching. So like when you become a teacher, like you do your student teaching before you finish school, um, and you're constantly being criticized.
Hmm.
How do you run your class? How do you run a lesson? Do things flow? Did you properly engage all your students? And like when I started being a teacher, I was not a good teacher.
Yeah.
And when you have your principal sitting in there for your entire lesson and just to have and to sit you down after and just give you half an hour of like this is everything that you could have done better.
Yeah. I sometimes I wish I think that's something that I'm really excited about the prospect of doing more collaboration patterns with every other amigurumi artist and starting this with other artists as well is because I need it's really nice to get feedback on 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 designs from someone that also is a designer, um, and I think it's fun. Like, yeah, I just like for example when we were talking about the box thing, and you were talking about how in one of these rounds you have to work into like a back loop, and then your feedback about how you were crocheting a little too tightly to get into that back loop. Well, that is just the smallest amount of feedback for me to get to the point where I'm like, okay, great. I never thought about that. I just didn't think about um, uh, Melbell's comment there is really funny. um,
In to sound that way.
I don't think you did. I don't think you did, but I do think that is very funny.
Uh,
um,
Something it just popped into my head. I do remember one very harsh criticism I received when I released. I think it was like a very early pattern. I think like 4 or 5 years ago. I released a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pattern, and the way that I made the leg was I think just not very normal or how other people would go about making a leg,
mhm.
because I had just made like the way that I did it was I don't know if you can picture it, but it was a long tube for the leg part, and then it opened up to create the foot.
Okay,
And then
kind of like how you did the foot for Gulliver,
yeah,
except
exactly.
like a little longer.
Yeah, and then so the foot would open up to a little wider piece, and then I crocheted the bottom of the foot as just a two round piece, or sorry, a two row piece,
Mm-hmm.
and then
And then
and then
sewed it together.
all you would do is yeah, just sew the bottom of the foot to the bottom of the leg, but um, the the one person who purchased that pattern just like she just did not enjoy how I designed,
Right.
and she left a terrible review.
Yep.
And then on like my social media, she like attacked every single one of them. She was just like, "Don't buy this pattern. It's awful. It doesn't make any sense."
That's exactly the hate that I'm talking about. That so what? How? What'd you do?
Oh, I think I like silently cried for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like you, like self-taught. Like things that I figure out are just I don't know, just how I designed it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
But to someone else, like that's just never how they have ever crocheted anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a yeah. I think because I've definitely gotten that exact kind of feedback before, and it just feels it hurt. I mean, it hurts. It hurts really bad, and especially especially when I get feedback and I know they're right. That's when it
Yeah,
hurts the most. When you're like, oh crap, they're totally correct about this, but I'm pissed now. Like they did it in a mean way that upsets me, but they're also not wrong, and I hate that.
or sometimes like I'll have released the pattern and I charged money for it, and then someone will email me back with a tiny little mistake that I just like did
Oh
not see.
god, that's the worst. Yeah, and you're like, oh no, now I need to rush and do and fix everything, and yeah.
And then email like 40 people that have already bought the pattern.
And you need to email them all and say like, hey, I fixed something, or yeah, that
But with
that always sucks.
videos, like have you ever like hit a point where you're like, oh my god, I just did something completely wrong and now I have to restart this 20-minute video that I just made?
Oh, absolutely. There's been a few where I've been like, um, I've recorded. Oh, here's a great example. When I first started designing the goblins and the trolls, I didn't do the spiked bobble. Instead, I made a separate nose and then I sewed it onto the face. And then I did all the videos. So there's like 6 full-length videos where each video is like an hour to 2 hours long. And then after I did all that, I designed the PDFs for the patterns. The version 1 was already produced. Then I was like, you know what? I wonder if I could do a spiked bobble for the nose, like a new kind of nose so that you don't have to sew anything on. And I did it,
Yeah.
and then I realized, oh my god, this is so much better. Crap. I have to go redo every one of these videos, and it took me forever. But I mean, I'm glad I did it, but like that, figuring that out mid-video, it's just, it really tears you down. It really makes you go, God, what a waste of time I just did. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just looking at Melville's comment. Customer service, like I feel like it's a requirement. Like to before you can graduate high school, like you have to work
Oh
a
yeah,
month in customer service.
yeah, totally. Mine was Jamba Juice. I worked Jamba Juice for a while, and working Jamba Juice with just like a shift with just one other person, you get people in there that are just the nastiest humans in the world, and you're like, oh my god. But I'm so glad I did that because I learned how to deal with that kind of hot anger, that
Yeah.
kind of like unnecessary anger.
And you learn to respect when you're on the other side.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's a necessity. I think it's something that's really important for people, especially young adults, to go through a job of customer service where they're waiting tables or just working in a place where you could get that hot anger, to learn how to deal with it. Because if you don't, and you get like, you're gonna get that again eventually for something. Not everybody's gonna love you. Yeah. Okay. So I'm at this is how much I got, like barely any yarn left. So I'm just gonna keep that in my piece and then and go get more yarn tomorrow and start continuing to work on this throughout the week. Before we go though, I guess let's see. Do I have any last questions for you? Do you have any inspiring words of wisdom for people that are just getting started crocheting or just getting started with designing crochet? Anything you'd like to tell anybody?
I think I'm going to give the same advice I give to all of my math students. Don't be afraid to try something and fail. I think I have learned most in my life from making mistakes and then learning how to do things differently from those mistakes.
Yeah. A famous quote that I would say for this, famous to me, Jake the dog from Adventure Time has a famous quote where he says, being bad at something is the first step to being sort of okay at something.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. and I love that. Jake the dog has some really choice quotes, by the way. If you're looking for some inspiration, look up, just start watching Adventure Time. And then would you like to plug anything else before we call it?
I am most active on Instagram, so you can see it just on the screen there. But like we mentioned, I just recently started making YouTube videos. I've got 4 or 5 there up now. To a lot of you that have asked about Celeste, she is coming, so I do promise that. The pattern, I actually have a couple very, very cool friends that are just testing it out for me right now. So yeah, keep an eye out on Instagram and on YouTube for the Celeste pattern.
Cool. And yeah, and go check out, if you haven't yet, go check out our collaboration for Mr. Gulliver here. I think it is one of the coolest patterns. Here's one of him sitting up. It's very cool. There are so many unique techniques that you will learn by just crocheting this pattern that Philip has put into it that I think is really worthwhile just to make it, and it's just a fun crochet. You can find all of our Animal Crossing patterns by just going to clubcrochet.com/animalcrossing. There's a link in the description below. I'm going to be taking off next week for next Sunday, but I'll be back the Sunday after that with some new patterns, and I think we're going to be doing a movie night coming up soon. I'm thinking of doing Jurassic Park for the movie night, but I'll let you guys know about that soon, because this week I'd like to do an update video. And the biggest thing I wanted to update, which I should have said earlier on in this live stream, was we just hit 50,000 subscribers on YouTube this week, and so I just want to really say thank you to everybody that has subscribed. You guys are incredible. Thank you so very much. If you're not subscribed yet, you can subscribe down below. You can hit that little like button so that other people can see videos like this. And we'll be doing more live stream collaborations with other amigurumi artists in the future, especially with Mr. Philip again in the future. So you'll definitely be seeing him again. Go follow him on YouTube and Instagram and everything like that. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching. And pasta la pizza. I'll see you. Philip, I'll see you probably. I'll be talking to you like next week. I want to talk to you more about the new Paper Mario game, because I'm finally getting to the part where it's starting to pick up speed and become a lot more fun. It was getting a little laggy in the beginning there, but I got past that and I really like it. Yeah. So
it's such an awesome conversation.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. I think it was a lot of fun talking with you. And yeah. All right, guys. Pasta la pizza. Oh, and he's got his little cat there. What's your cat's name?
He wanted to join. His name is Aji.
Aji. I love it. He's so cute. Wow, yeah, I can see your stitches from here, how they look so different. Like they don't look so different, but they look different. They definitely look different. They look like little X's.
Like Melbel, the way that you brought up how I made my stitches, I'm gonna like sit all afternoon and like I'm gonna try to break things down.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And, try something new and see how different it would look.
Yeah, same. I'm definitely going to be testing out how to, I mean, it's just the same stitch, but we're just going to be testing out how to do it a little bit more. And yeah, feel free to share your what you've learned with me, because I'd love to get other input other than what I'm going to be doing over and over again. Okay, guys. Well, pasta la pizza. Happy hooking. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody. Where do I go? Here we go. Is it this one?